The Trump administration is considering direct payment to Greenlanders. U.S. is making a renewed push to bring the vast Arctic island under its control. Europe is pushing back, and Greenlanders say their homeland, well, that's not for sale. Take a look at our next report as Trump eyes to buy Greenland.
In the icy Arctic, a bold American move is heating up the world. The Trump administration is reportedly exploring cash payments to Greenlanders, an attempt to persuade the island's population to break away from Denmark and align with the US. It is planning to offer lump sum payments between $10,000 and $100,000 per person to residents of Greenland. In total, the amount could come to nearly $6 billion. The sum is not that expensive as it sounds when it comes to the US. Trump has aimed at securing something priceless: a strategic dominance in the Arctic. Russia and China are making rapid inroads in the Arctic. With the ice melting faster than before, previously isolated zones are opening up. More than trade, it's also a strategic vulnerability, and Trump wants to move fast to secure American interests. Greenland's mineral and energy potential adds another layer of complexity. Beneath the ice lies a frozen mineral treasure trove. Greenland has approximately $200 billion worth frozen minerals. It ranks 8th in the world for rare earth reserves. The island nation is home to 2 rare earth deposits that are among the largest in the world. Still, no rare earth mining has taken place on the island to date.
The problem with resource extraction in Greenland is this. Greenland is a rich country in terms of natural resources. However, it is very expensive to extract it. So that means that even though that there are a lot of resources there are a lot of resources to be had, it may not be profitable to ever extract a large quantity of those resources.
As Trump moves to throw in billions in the kitty to woo Greenlanders, Denmark is nervous. For now, the Europeans are standing firmly behind it. But they know if Trump decides to move, they have very little options.
The United States is an established power, but one that is gradually turning away from some of its allies and breaking free from international rules that it was still promoting recently, whether in trade, certain security issues, or within international forums.
Of course, the messages that we hear regarding Greenland are extremely concerning, and we have had discussions also among the Europeans. If this is a real threat, and if it is, then what would be our response?
As the cracks widen, US has sent a chilling message to Europe.
We'll continue to deliver some of these messages in private, some of them in public, but I guess my advice to European leaders and anybody else would be to take the President of the United States seriously.
Trump's proposal aligns with his previous idea of buying Greenland, despite repeated refusals from both Copenhagen and Nuuk. For Washington, the Arctic is the next front line, with Russia and China expanding their footprint. But for Greenland, the question is far more personal: a control over their future. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Dr. Volker Stanzel is former German ambassador to China's Senior Distinguished Fellow at SWP, German Institute for International and Security Affairs. He's joining us live from Berlin. Ambassador, welcome to WION, and thank you so much for joining us. Europe has reacted strongly to President Trump's desire to acquire Greenland, with officials warning this could undermine transatlantic alliance. From your perspective and from European security perspective, does this moment signal a deeper fracture within NATO, and what can be realistically done?
It does indeed point to that problem. But before we consider available strategies for Europe, maybe you allow me to take a look at the predicament that Europe actually is in. Because on the one hand, the United States has just joined Europe in devising a plan for securing peace in the Ukraine once an agreement with Russia on armistice or even peace has been reached. And that is invaluable. If Europe now fights Trump over his remarks, which change from day to day on Greenland, the trouble might be that there will be no money and no arms and no intelligence information to Ukraine. And that would mean many, many more dead Ukrainians. On the other hand, just keeping silent because of the predicament I just described, that would encourage, of course, the American administration, mainly Trump himself, and that would weaken Europe strategically. So it is indeed difficult to find which way to go, as you have pointed out in your report yourself. But let me ask first again something else. Why does Trump want Greenland in the first place? He and Vance, you had him voted just now, made efforts to explain that the security of the United States is compromised, which is utter nonsense, because Greenland is part of NATO, and thus we have a well-devised NATO strategy also concerning the Arctic waters. And if somebody says the waters around Greenland are full with Chinese and Russian warboats, then he would have to show that, because would this be a fact, NATO would have reacted long ago. And secondly, the talk of resources, which you also alluded to in that report, is as much nonsense, because Greenland and Denmark have underlined since many, many years that they are open to cooperating with international companies, American as much as European ones, to use and explore the natural resources available. So what does really motivate Trump? I think it is the specter of raw power that entices him, because he likes something like what he spoke about 2 days ago, to have a dream of armed forces, to have force, to have power. But the problem is that his political basis, the MAGA people, are isolationists. They don't want America to go into battles. So he can't do that. So what only way he has is to employ armed forces, maybe to occupy parts of Greenland when it is not willing to withstand the pressure from the United States. I'll come back to that later, but sorry, I was going on too long.
No, that was an excellent analysis. Thank you so much, Ambassador. A predicament indeed, and despite the fact that the Trump administration tries to convince its MAGA base, as you mentioned, that this is America first and to the benefit of the American people, 2026 midterms are coming up, and that's going to be very detrimental on whether or not their argument is convincing. Foreign policy plays such an important role. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us on WION. I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
You're welcome. Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.